My name is Kevin Giesland. I love investment properties. I can talk about them all day, so just wanted to share some insights. Please note that this example here was something I did about a year and a half or so ago. Interest rates, sales prices, everything like that could be different. So in general, the biggest piece to real estate to me is numbers. If numbers work, they work. Look at all options, see what makes the most sense. So the first house I purchased, I had it on a 15-year note. Anything that could save me a few bucks in interest, I'm there. I was a penny pincher, do anything I could. Let's do a 15-year instead of a 30. Give me roughly half point lower on the rate at that time. So I've had it for 6 years. The amount I owe now is $60,000. I only have 9 years left on the note. So when that note gets paid off, that mortgage gets paid off, all I have to pay is property taxes and home insurance and repairs. So with the exception of that, pretty nice not to have a house payment in 9 years. The interest rate's extremely low, comparatively speaking, at 3.25%, which was awesome. I was making $1,200 a month in rent. The payment was about $1,000, so I was getting about $200 a month in cash flow before repairs. So I was just looking at the scenario saying, am I happy with these numbers, $200 a month, getting paid off for 9 years, or is there something I can do differently? And what I was looking at doing was refining this property. Now what that entails, I go either bank loan, mortgage, wherever, I get a new loan that pays off my old mortgage, so it pays this loan off, and then I get to take excess money on top of that. So in this scenario, I did a loan for $120,000 and I took $50,000. The other $10,000 to bridge that gap is going to be closing costs. Now closing costs should not be quite that expensive, but I'd rather be conservative. This new note is on a 30-year. The interest rate has increased by over 0.5%. So even though the years left has even though the loan amount and the interest rate have increased, because the years left has gone from a 15-year to a 30-year, my cash flow is actually going to be $50 a month higher in scenario 2 than if I just kept the current original mortgage. I showed this to a networking group and said, okay, given these details, 9 years left, lower rate, lower amount owed, would you do this loan? Every single person there said, absolutely not, that's crazy, why would you do it? What I didn't tell them is what I was going to do with that additional $50,000. With that $50,000, I use that as down payment and closing on a new investment property. Call that house number 2. House number 2, I was renting for $2,000 a month. Payment was $1,100. I was getting $900 a month cash for house number 2 before repairs. So, if you add these two together, look at best case scenario, $900 that I'm getting for house number 2, $250 that I'm now getting for house number 1, that brings my grand total to $1,150 a month. Now you can't say I'm getting $1,150 a month more now than what I was, because originally I was getting $200. So I'll back out that $200 out of that $1,150. So my cash flow now versus when I just had the one home on a lower rate and only 9 years left, I'm getting an additional $950 a month. I don't know anyone that wouldn't take an extra $950 a month, but let's assume that someone didn't care about that $950. They didn't want to go invest that somewhere else, or they didn't want to put that in the piggy bank. If you turn that $950 around and put it back into this loan that's now on a 30-year, that would pay this loan off quicker. It would get paid off in 8 years. So even though you took out more money, have a higher loan amount, it sounds like we're going backwards here. If you wanted to apply this $950 to the original, the new mortgage for house number 1, instead of putting it aside, then you would pay it off in 8 years versus 30. Pretty amazing there. Some of the benefits of doing the 2-house option, you have extra cash, obviously I just went over that. More appreciation, instead of one house going up in value, 2 houses are now increasing in value. More tax benefits. And then the last item here, more debt buy down. This first house on a 15-year, it was awesome. This loan was getting paid down so quickly, it was great. And on a 30-year note, the most of the payment at the beginning is interest. Very little of it is principal. However, in that scenario, you have two houses getting paid down, not just the one. Over time, the amount of principal that's paid is higher than the amount of interest. So the longer I have these two new mortgages, the better off I'll be in terms of a tenant paying down my debt. So in this scenario with leverage, it made all the sense in the world to do that. I'm cash flowing a lot more. I'm in an all-around better position and super glad I did it. In any other situation, look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. If they make sense, great. If they don't, probably in the route to go.